In a world full of distractions and noise, our minds often become cluttered with impure thoughts, worries, and anxieties. We constantly find ourselves struggling to achieve peace and clarity. But what if I told you that within Buddhist teachings lies a powerful story that can guide you to cleanse your mind and find inner peace? This story isn't just ancient wisdom, it's a timeless guide to overcoming negative thoughts and embracing a life of harmony and tranquility. Our mind is like a garden. If left unattended, weeds of negativity, doubt, and fear will overrun it. But with care, attention, and the right tools, we can cultivate a garden full of peace, clarity, and wisdom. The story we're about to explore teaches us how to nurture this garden and remove the impurities that hinder our growth. The Buddha once said, "Your worst enemy cannot harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts." This profound statement reminds us that the greatest battle we face is within ourselves. It is our own thoughts that shape our reality, and it is within our power to change them. The story begins with a monk who was deeply troubled by impure thoughts. Despite his rigorous meditation practice, he found it difficult to quiet his mind. These thoughts would arise unbidden, filling him with doubt and frustration. He felt as if he was losing the battle for his mind. One day, in despair, the monk approached the Buddha and asked, "Master, why do I struggle so much with these impure thoughts? I meditate daily, yet they persist. How can I cleanse my mind and find peace?" The Buddha listened calmly and then responded with a smile. "Just as a tree is not cut down with a single stroke, impure thoughts cannot be eradicated all at once. It requires patience, effort, and the right practices." The Buddha continued, "Imagine your mind is like a muddy pond. If you stir it constantly, the mud will never settle, and the water will remain cloudy. But if you allow it to be still, the mud will settle, and the water will become clear. In the same way, you must learn to still your mind to see clearly and purify your thoughts." The monk asked, "But Master, how can I achieve this stillness when my mind is constantly bombarded with thoughts?" The Buddha replied, "Begin by observing your thoughts without judgment. Do not cling to them or push them away. Simply watch them as they arise and fade away, like clouds passing through the sky. In this way, you will begin to understand the nature of your thoughts and gradually gain control over them." The monk took this advice to heart and began practicing mindfulness meditation with renewed determination. He sat quietly, observing his thoughts as they came and went, without reacting to them. Over time, he noticed that the impure thoughts lost their power over him. They became like leaves floating on the surface of a still pond, unable to disturb the clarity of the water below. This practice of mindfulness, or sati, is central to Buddhist teachings. It involves being fully present in the moment, aware of your thoughts, emotions, and sensations without attachment or aversion. By practicing mindfulness, we can begin to see our thoughts for what they truly are: fleeting, impermanent, and not who we truly are. As the monk continued his practice, he discovered that his mind became more peaceful, and the impure thoughts that once plagued him became less frequent and less intense. He realized that by simply observing his thoughts without judgment, he could detach from them and prevent them from taking root in his mind. The story of the monk teaches us that the key to cleansing the mind lies in our ability to observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them. When we stop feeding our negative thoughts with attention and energy, they lose their hold over us, and our minds naturally return to a state of clarity and peace. In addition to mindfulness, the Buddha taught other practices that can help us purify our minds. One such practice is the cultivation of loving kindness, or metta. By developing feelings of goodwill and compassion towards ourselves and others, we can replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Loving kindness meditation involves silently repeating phrases such as "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I be safe," "May I live with ease." As you repeat these phrases, you gradually expand your focus to include others, your loved ones, acquaintances, and even those with whom you have difficulties. The practice of loving kindness helps to soften the heart and open the mind. It encourages us to let go of resentment, anger, and judgment, replacing them with love, compassion, and understanding. As our hearts open, our minds become more peaceful and pure. Another practice the Buddha recommended for purifying the mind is the reflection on impermanence. By contemplating the fleeting nature of all things, we can learn to detach from our attachments and desires, which are often the source of impure thoughts. The Buddha taught that everything in this world is impermanent: our thoughts, emotions, possessions, and even our bodies. By accepting this truth, we can free ourselves from the suffering that arises from clinging to things that are bound to change or pass away. The monk, who had struggled so much with impure thoughts, began to meditate on the impermanence of all things. He reflected on how his thoughts, like everything else, were temporary and subject to change. This realization helped him to further detach from his negative thoughts and find greater peace within himself. The story of the monk also teaches us the importance of patience and perseverance on the path to mental purification. Just as it takes time for muddy water to clear, it takes time and consistent effort to cleanse the mind of impurities. The Buddha emphasized that the path to enlightenment is not a quick or easy one. It requires dedication, discipline, and a deep commitment to self-awareness and self-improvement. But with patience and perseverance, anyone can achieve a clear and peaceful mind. The monk's journey reminds us that we all have the power to purify our minds, no matter how impure or chaotic they may seem. By practicing mindfulness, loving kindness, and reflecting on impermanence, we can gradually cleanse our minds and find the peace and clarity we seek. One of the key lessons from this story is that our thoughts do not define us. We are not our thoughts, but the awareness behind them. By observing our thoughts without judgment, we can see them for what they truly are: passing phenomena that do not have to control us. The Buddha taught that by cultivating this awareness, we can free ourselves from the cycle of suffering caused by our attachment to thoughts and emotions. We can learn to respond to life's challenges with wisdom and compassion, rather than reacting out of fear or anger. The practice of mindfulness and meditation helps us to develop this awareness and to create a space between our thoughts and our reactions. In this space lies the potential for true freedom and inner peace. The monk's journey is a powerful reminder that the path to a pure mind is a personal one. It requires us to take responsibility for our own thoughts and actions and to commit to the practices that will lead us to peace and clarity. Gratitude is another powerful practice that can help us cleanse our minds. By focusing on the positive aspects of our lives and expressing gratitude for them, we can shift our attention away from negative thoughts and towards positive ones. Gratitude also helps us to accept reality as it is. When we are grateful for what we have, we stop complaining and judging. We begin to see that there are many reasons to be happy in life, and even challenges can become lessons for us. When your mind is full of gratitude, it becomes more peaceful and harmonious. You start to notice that negative thoughts and feelings become less significant. Your mind becomes clear, like a mirror reflecting the world as it is, without distortions and illusions. The Buddhist story about overcoming impure thoughts teaches us something important. We cannot control the outside world, but we can control our reaction to it. We can choose which thoughts to nurture and which to let go. We can choose to be happy and peaceful, no matter the circumstances. One of the main practices in Buddhism is the practice of mindful breathing. It helps us to ground ourselves in the present moment and let go of anxious thoughts. When you feel your mind starting to worry, take a few deep breaths. Focus on your breath. Feel the air coming in and out of your body. Mindful breathing helps us to slow down and regain control over our minds. It allows us to create a pause between thought and reaction, giving us time to understand what is happening and to make a conscious choice about how to respond to the situation. Another powerful practice offered by Buddhism is the practice of loving kindness metta. This practice involves sending kind and warm thoughts first to yourself, then to your loved ones, and finally to all beings. It helps to cleanse the mind of anger, resentment, and negativity. The practice of metta begins with saying to yourself, "May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I live in peace." Repeat these phrases until you feel your heart filling with warmth and love. Then, direct these wishes to someone close to you. Imagine this person in front of you and say, "May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live in peace." Repeat this exercise until you feel your heart opening and filling with compassion. The final stage of metta practice is to send kindness to all beings. Imagine the light of your love and kindness spreading throughout the world, encompassing all people, animals, and living beings. Say, "May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. May all beings live in peace." The practice of metta helps to cultivate a deep sense of connection with all beings and removes the barriers of anger and fear. It purifies the mind and heart, making us more open and compassionate. Another important practice for cleansing the mind is the practice of forgiveness. When we hold on to resentment and anger, we poison our own minds. Forgiving does not mean justifying someone's bad actions, it means freeing yourself from the negative energy that binds you. Forgive yourself and others. Understand that everyone makes mistakes and that true freedom comes when we let go of the past. The past cannot be changed, but we can change our attitude toward it. Choose forgiveness and let it cleanse your mind. Another useful practice for mental purification is the reflection on death Maranasati. It might sound gloomy, but in Buddhism, contemplating death helps us appreciate life and live it more consciously. Reflecting on death helps us realize the impermanence of all things. We understand that everything in this world is temporary and that our time is limited. This awareness helps us to let go of petty grievances and focus on what truly matters. The monk in our story often reflected on death as part of his practice. He realized that his impure thoughts were insignificant in the grand scheme of life and death. This understanding helped him to let go of them and to live in the present moment. Contemplating death helps us to be more aware of our thoughts and actions. It reminds us that life is too short to waste on negativity and that we should strive to live each day with kindness, compassion, and wisdom. Another important practice in Buddhism is the practice of self-discipline sila. It involves adhering to certain ethical principles and rules that help purify the mind and lead to inner peace. The Buddha taught 5 precepts that form the foundation of ethical conduct: not to kill, not to steal, not to engage in sexual misconduct, not to lie, and not to use intoxicants. By following these precepts, we can create a life of integrity and peace. Self-discipline is not about punishing yourself or denying yourself pleasure. It is about making conscious choices that align with your values and lead to a better life. It is about creating a life that reflects your highest ideals and aspirations. The practice of self-discipline helps to cleanse the mind of distractions and temptations. It helps us to focus on what is truly important and to live in harmony with ourselves and others. As the monk continued his practice of self-discipline, he found that his mind became more stable and peaceful. He was no longer tormented by impure thoughts and felt a deep sense of clarity and purpose in his life. The story of the monk teaches us that the path to a pure mind requires effort, patience, and persistence. It is not an easy path, but it is a path that leads to true freedom and peace. The Buddha's teachings offer us a wealth of practices and tools for cleansing the mind. Whether it is mindfulness, loving kindness, forgiveness, or self-discipline, each practice helps us to let go of negativity and to cultivate peace and clarity. The key to success on this path is consistency. Just as a garden needs regular care and attention, our minds need regular practice and cultivation. By committing to these practices, we can gradually cleanse our minds and create a life of peace and harmony. Remember that the path to a pure mind is a journey, not a destination. It is a lifelong process of learning, growing, and evolving. Be patient with yourself and trust that every step you take on this path brings you closer to inner peace and enlightenment. In conclusion, the Buddhist story about overcoming impure thoughts teaches us that the mind is our most powerful tool for creating a life of peace and happiness. By cleansing our minds of negativity and impurities, we can transform our lives and find the inner peace we seek. The Buddha's teachings remind us that we are not our thoughts, and we have the power to change our thoughts and, in doing so, change our lives. By practicing mindfulness, loving kindness, and self-discipline, we can purify our minds and create a life of harmony and peace. The story of the monk is a powerful reminder that the path to a pure mind is within reach for all of us. It requires effort and dedication, but the rewards are immense. By following this path, we can find the peace, clarity, and wisdom that we all seek. As you go about your day, remember the teachings of the Buddha and the lessons of the monk. Take time to observe your thoughts, practice mindfulness, and cultivate loving kindness. Let go of negativity and embrace the peace and clarity that come from a pure mind. Remember that your mind is your greatest ally on the path to enlightenment. Take care of it, cleanse it of the unnecessary, and guide it toward light and goodness. Let your mind become your friend and mentor, not a source of anxiety and suffering. As we end this story, remember that Buddhist practice is a path to inner peace and harmony. The Buddha taught us that each of us can achieve enlightenment by following the path of cleansing the mind and heart. May your life be filled with light and wisdom, and may your mind be as clear as a calm mountain lake. In this story, we learned about the importance of cleansing the mind of impure thoughts and how Buddhist practices can help us achieve inner peace and harmony. Let this story inspire you on your journey to self-discovery and enlightenment. Remember that every day is a new opportunity to cleanse your mind and live in peace with yourself and the world around you. Thank you for being with us. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends. Until next time, and may your path be bright and wise.